Welcome, my fiery Aries friends. Whether you're a long-time subscriber or a first-time cosmic wanderer stumbling onto this corner of the internet, you've just arrived at Zodiac Talks Tarot, a space where astrology isn't just entertainment, it's a language of the soul. Now, if you've ever felt like you were too much, too fast, or just too honest, congratulations, you're probably an Aries. And if you're not Aries, but you've found yourself orbiting around one like a curious moon caught in their gravitational pull, well, bless your brave heart. As someone who has spent more than a decade deep in the trenches of astrological charts, psychological archetypes, and the occasional Buddhist scripture, let me tell you something I know in my bones: when Aries gets quiet, it's not because they've run out of things to say, it's because something sacred is happening. A transformation. A rebirth. Maybe even an emotional detox with a side of furious journaling. This isn't avoidance, it's alignment. Silence, for Aries, is not emptiness. It's a strategy. And when that happens, the universe listens. This week's reading dives deep into the kind of love story that doesn't rely on fairy dust or vague promises. No, this is about you and them, two souls who have traveled lifetimes together and are now in a period of pause, distance, and perhaps divine recalibration. You, Aries, are emerging as the Swan and cosmic egg, archetypes of grace, solitude, and spiritual awakening. You're not just leveling up, you're glowing up on a soul level, cultivating a presence so powerful, your absence is louder than most people's presence. Meanwhile, your person, bless them, is over there working through their own karmic workout routine. They're shifting from the energy of the turtle, slow, emotionally avoidant, possibly binge-watching personal growth videos, into the horse, grounded, focused, and finally ready to face the music, and maybe, just maybe, text you back. So if you've been wondering whether this time apart meant the end, think again. Because in spiritual terms, this isn't a break, it's an initiation. One that might just bring real healing, clarity, and a chance to reconnect in a more evolved way. Welcome to Zodiac Talks Tarot. You're right on time. Let's talk about your person for a second. Their current energetic vibe? Picture a mood board made up of two very different spirit animals, the turtle and the horse. I know, strange combo, right? But in spiritual psychology, opposites often signal transformation. The turtle represents deep emotional avoidance, slow movement, and a tendency to retreat into the shell when life gets too loud. It's the archetype of someone who has spent years storing unprocessed emotions like old receipts in a junk drawer. But here's the twist: they're finally shifting. The horse energy is kicking in now, symbolizing forward momentum, strength, and a desire to run toward freedom rather than hide from the truth. They've gone from ghosting you to Googling emotional maturity. That, my friends, is what I call the therapy and leg day phase. Cry a little, lift a little, repeat. Now, on the other side of this cosmic coin, we have you, Aries. And let me just say, the glow up is spiritual, not just aesthetic. You're channeling full Empress energy, not to be confused with passive. No, no. This is sacred stillness, the kind that comes from wisdom, not apathy. The throat chakra shows up here, which tells me you've either spoken your truth or you're choosing silence as your power play. The Two of Cups and the Detach card paint a clear picture. The connection is very real, but you're not about to beg for breadcrumbs. In true Empress fashion, you're tending to your own garden now. You've stopped watering relationships that didn't know how to grow. And yet, energetically, you're still tuned in. You feel them. You dream about them. But you're not making the first move. As I often say in my readings, Aries energy doesn't disappear, it transforms. And right now, you're not chasing. You're attracting. Which is both deeply empowering and low-key terrifying for your person, who's still catching their breath from that emotional jog. Let's take a closer look at your person's inner world because honey, they're not just feeling things, they're finally feeling the things they've spent years trying to ignore. We're talking deep emotional territory here, the kind that doesn't come with GPS. The Moon card appears alongside Confront, and let me tell you, as someone who's studied both astrology and Jungian psychology for decades, this combo doesn't show up when someone's just casually reflecting in the shower. No, this is shadow work 101. This is soul deep reckoning. This is them pulling open the metaphorical closet and finally looking at all the emotional skeletons they shoved in there after that good night, babe text turned into 3 weeks of radio silence. Now, if you're someone who understands karmic dynamics, you'll recognize that this kind of confrontation isn't punishment, it's purification. From a Buddhist lens, they're burning through samskara, unresolved karmic imprints, one uncomfortable realization at a time. And for the first time, they're not numbing out or disappearing into distractions. They're staying present. Yes, they might still cry in the car after meditating for 5 minutes, but hey, progress is progress. Fast forward just a bit, and we move into what I like to call the unfinished symphony phase of their emotional playlist. All those hidden feelings, broken boundaries, and half-written love confessions are bubbling to the surface. They've traded in their turtle shell for a clipboard and blueprint. This person isn't ghosting anymore, they're replanning, strategizing, mapping out conversations in their head like, what if I said this, would they hear me out? Expect a message soon. But don't expect a Shakespearean sonnet. It'll probably start with something like, hey, I've been thinking. And while that might seem simple, trust me, it's a monumental step for someone who used to think vulnerability was a 4-letter word. Now here's where things get interesting and honestly, a little redemptive. At this point in the reading, we're seeing real growth from your person. And not the "I read a quote on Instagram and now I think I'm healed" kind. No, we're talking King of Cups and the Sun, the two powerhouses of emotional depth and clarity. The King of Cups doesn't just feel deeply, he knows how to hold space without turning everything into a soap opera. And the Sun? That's illumination, baby. It's like someone finally opened the blinds in their soul and realized, oh, I've got some stuff to clean up. As someone who has studied tarot for over a decade and watched more clients than I can count move through these archetypes, I can confidently say, this is real. It's not just about coming back into your life, it's about coming back different. Emotionally mature. Reflective. Possibly still confused about how to load a dishwasher, but at least now they're emotionally literate. Honestly, this is the kind of growth that deserves a slow clap and maybe a carefully negotiated coffee meetup in a public place. Just in case. Meanwhile, what's going on with you, Aries? Oh, just a casual masterclass in restraint. With Temperance, Queen of Wands, and Ace of Wands showing up in your spread, you're sitting on a volcano but you've chosen incense over eruption. You're balancing passion with patience, fire with finesse. And let's be real, Aries, that's not your default setting. Normally, you'd be halfway to their front door with a playlist and a pointed speech by now. But not this time. This time, you're letting them come to you. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, I know what I want, but I'm not about to chase it down a rabbit hole of mixed signals and unhealed wounds. That, my dear Aries, is spiritual growth with eyeliner, heels, and a killer sense of self-worth. Let's talk about where your person's heart and nervous system is at right now. Emotionally? You live rent-free in their mind. And not in a fleeting, oh hey, I wonder what Aries is doing way. No, this is full-blown, late-night scrolling through old texts energy. The Queen of Swords has entered the chat, and that alone explains their hesitation. Because let's be honest, you're not the same person they left behind. You've grown. You've set boundaries. You've stopped accepting half-hearted efforts wrapped in romantic emojis. You now radiate clarity, sovereignty, and don't waste my time energy. In short, you've evolved from muse to monarch. And they know it. That's why they're hesitant. They want to come back, but this time, they know that hey, stranger isn't going to cut it. They can't just slide into your inbox with a meme and hope you've forgotten about the emotional cliffhanger they left you on. Nope. They're staring at their screen right now, probably googling something like how to apologize without sounding like a loser or text messages that say I've changed without using the words I've changed. It's endearing, if mildly overdue. Now, let's shift into their intentions, which are surprisingly sincere. The Moon reversed and Five of Wands reversed are waving big emotional flags that say, I'm ready to talk. Like actually talk. They're no longer trying to win the argument or avoid the discomfort. They're trying to bring clarity, lay down the ego, and maybe just maybe earn a second chance. That means confessions, accountability, and the kind of inner work that doesn't happen overnight. This isn't about sweeping things under the rug. It's about picking up the rug, cleaning the mess, and saying, yeah, that was mine. I'm working on it. Will it be a little awkward? Absolutely. Growth usually is. But will it be real? If they follow through, yes. And that's where things start to shift from karmic chaos to conscious connection. Here's where the rubber meets the cosmic road. The action phase. After all the silence, the introspection, and the oops, I ghosted you but now I've been spiritually reborn energy, your person is finally gearing up to make a move. But let's be clear, they're not storming in with grand speeches and boom boxes outside your window, though, wouldn't that be fun? No, we're talking something small. A toe in the water. Think, oh hey. I've been thinking about you text that's casual on the outside but carrying a full suitcase of emotional intention underneath. This is Page of Cups meets Ace of Pentacles energy. It starts with a light message or a soft apology, no pressure, just a little emotional breadcrumb. But if you show you're open, that breadcrumb turns into a buffet. The Ace of Pentacles tells us there's a genuine desire to offer something real, something grounded, stable, and not just emotionally performative. This is about building from the ground up, not picking up where things left off. And honestly, it's the kind of energy shift that doesn't just whisper I miss you. It says, I'm ready to do the work if you are. Now, let's pivot to you, Aries. Spirit's advice? Simple, but not easy: heal. Release. Repeat. You've done a lot of internal heavy lifting emotionally, energetically, spiritually. You've learned that forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook, it's about putting down the hook you've been carrying around. Letting go of resentment is a gift you give yourself, not them. Because they're healing? That's their responsibility. But your peace? That's your birthright. And if both of you have done the work and it really does look like you have, then yes, the cards suggest the potential for Four of Wands energy. Reunion. Reconnection. Maybe even long-term commitment. But don't rush it. This is sacred ground, not a racetrack. Love that's rooted in transformation takes time. Let it unfold like a lotus, not a fast food order. Now, let's open the envelope marked Messages from the Universe delivered via your person's higher self. What we're picking up in this final chapter of the reading isn't just wishful thinking, it's soul-level intel. Imagine your person's higher self sticking a bunch of cosmic post-it notes on your emotional refrigerator. They're saying things like, I'm planning my comeback, strategically, which is funny coming from someone who once couldn't even plan a proper goodbye. They admit you're their muse, and yes, they've stared at your photos like an art collector contemplating the meaning of life and maybe trying to remember what they did wrong. But it goes deeper. They say, you changed my energy. I'm not the same, which is the spiritual equivalent of saying, you didn't just touch my heart, you rewired it. They're owning up to secrets, career distractions, emotional immaturity, and yes, even the depression that followed your absence. That space you created? It wasn't empty. It became the container that forced them to look in the mirror. They didn't just miss you, they met themselves, possibly for the first time. And listen, Aries, whether this story leads to reconciliation or simply closure, your energy has been the catalyst for massive transformation. That's not ego, that's truth. You've held space, chosen self-respect over chaos, and grown in ways that probably surprised even you. And that, dear Aries, is your cosmic superpower. You ignite change by simply being you, bold, brave, and yes, occasionally impulsive, but always rooted in fierce authenticity. So as we close this reading, remember this: your worth isn't defined by their return, but by how beautifully you've carried your light during their absence. Keep shining. Keep thriving. Enjoy your life. Love is not the reward, you are the reward. If this reading resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel Zodiac Talks Tarot. The stars are always talking and I'm here to translate.